play. If the catcher gives them a path to the plate, I'm not going to have obstruction. If they take that away from them at a time when I think they've made up their mind to slide or they have to alter their direction to the plate, yeah, now I'm going to have obstruction. But until then, I'm not. Now, let me get, I got to go back and hit share screen, don't I?
Yep.
Okay.
And Jamie says 40 minutes for obstruction, 40 minutes for interference.
Kiss my butt. My 40 minutes didn't start until long after we figured out that, hey, Jamie, this was your night, so cut me some slack. Some family interference here. Family obstruction, I should say. Okay. Let me throw this one out there. Let me at least throw a couple plays up and see what I can come up with. All right. Now, are you seeing full screen on this?
We're not seeing your screen yet.
You're not. How do I do that? Let's see.
All right, try it now. Hit your share screen and then pick the screen you want with the video.
Okay. Let me go back here. It says host disable participant screen sharing.
No, it should be set. It should be set now.
Okay.
Try it again.
How are that?
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
I'm hoping people can see this.
Okay, restart your video.
Okay. Is that large enough for you?
It's pretty good size.
Okay. Here we go. Here's a play on a steal of second base. And the question is, did they obstruct? You make the call. On this particular play, here, let me do this. How's that?
Better.
That better? We still got the, okay. What we're looking for here, whoop, damn it, I don't want that. We're looking for here is there contact, or did this person hinder the person from going into second base? I don't know about you folks, but you can't see this well enough on this play. I'm going to go away from that one. Sorry.
They're looking at the batter.
Yeah, did the batter obstruct the catcher?
No, we're looking, actually on that particular play, we're looking to see, was there obstruction by the shortstop covering second base? And what we've got is they're getting the ball and tagging the runner out. So they're saying that there's not obstruction on that play.
But look at the batter in the play, and they show the batter of the previous pitch.
Are we talking about batter interference here?
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. It went to a different play. This is a completely different play than the first one that was up. So let me get out of this. Gosh, I don't want to do that. I'm pissed. Okay, where are we here? Matt, have I still got you?
We're still seeing you, so you got to share your screen again.
Okay. Well, I've got to go back to, unfortunately, when downsizing that, I'm gonna move to a different play. The original play, you had a hard time seeing because the shortstop came in the way. It looks different on your screen. Somebody was in the way. The shortstop was in the way. You couldn't see it. they were trying to show that the shortstop was getting the ball prior to the person being tagged, and therefore it was not obstruction. What you're talking about here, folks, is people who, again, not being ready for this. I had plans of having this all in one little file, and it's not working out that way. So bear with me. Okay, you got to get rid of this. Okay, can you see that screen now, Matt?
Not yet.
You cannot.
Still seeing
Well,
you.
So I've got to go back to share screen,
Yep.
which I'm doing.
Okay. Looks like it's working
got-
now. Okay. Yep. Now we got to play up.
Okay, let me play this one. We got to play at the plate. We're asking if the fielder is impeding the runner's advancement to home plate. Here's an example. Rounded third, got nothing here. We've got a catcher. Now they're going after the ball. Did they impede that runner is the question. And the answer is no, they did not. Were they standing in the baseline? They didn't bother the first runner, but between the first and the second runner, they were standing in front of the plate. And the question is, and we have people calling that calling obstruction, the catcher moves out of the way well before the second runner trying to cross. Not the first runner. They gave them room. Now they go to get the ball. Did they impede that runner? The answer is no. We don't have obstruction there. Okay? That one makes sense? Stop sharing. Okay. This is irritating. Okay. I'm going to have to apologize at this point. Let's open it up for questions, folks, because we should be moving on because we're going to get shut off again. So Ross had a question. Jamie had a question. Anybody else got a question?
Sky had a question earlier in the chat about a runner or a fielder causes a injury by doing a fake tag.
Okay.
How would you handle the ejection for that?
Well, number one, I'm not going to say you're ejected because of a fake tag because we don't have such a rule. We used to, but we don't anymore. The ejection, you have the obstruction. So I'm going to have dead ball when they can be tagged out, the obstruction, award the base, and then I'm going to have the ejection for unsportsmanlike conduct. So I'm going to make the award. I'm going to penalize and then make the award, but please understand, I'm not ejecting them because of the terminology fake tag. It's just like I don't eject you for swinging at somebody. I eject you for making contact.
Right.
That's an example. That's a poor example. I mean, taking a swing is a whole different story. But my point is, The reason for the ejection was a fake tag that got somebody hurt. All right. But please don't use the terminology, I ejected you because of a fake tag. You got ejected because of unsportsmanlike conduct. All right. When you eject somebody for hitting somebody, well, I didn't eject you for hitting him. I ejected you for unsportsmanlike conduct. That we have. I can't list all the things that I would eject somebody for. Okay. Anybody else? Hearing none. I'm going to go to I'm going to pull up the definition of interference. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this and we're going to go to shared screen. Okay. Are we now seeing interference?
Yep.
Can you see the whole thing?
If you want to increase your screen, you can see, can you make it full screen?
Yep, I'm going to, if I can get there. I've got to pull it over on mine.
That's pretty good right there if you want to just go for
Okay.
that.
Okay. Now we're talking about the act of an offensive player or team member that impedes, hinders, or confuses a defensive player attempting to execute a play. It may be in the form of physical contact, verbal distraction, visual distraction, or any type of distraction that hinders a fielder. Remember the word hinder, because we're going to be talking about that during the course of talking about interference. We said earlier, the defensive player must be given the opportunity to field a ball anywhere on the playing field or a thrown ball without being hindered. All right. So in using my terminology from elsewhere, it's like the defensive player has the right of way on that batted or field, that batted ball or that fielding that thrown ball. There are many types of interference, and there are several examples given here. We got interference by a runner, and that could be that you've got a defensive player. Let's make it a first baseman attempting to field a ball, and the runner who is on first base decides to run over the first baseman. That's interference. You've got to allow them the ability to hit that or to field that ball. Interference by a batter. That batter could be the batter in the box is not getting out of the way of somebody in a fast pitch game or even a slow pitch game stealing of home plate, as an example. A batter runner. If a batter hits a ball towards first base and the run now becomes a batter runner going to first baseman gets the ball and attempts to tag that runner, and that runner backs up. They can stop, they can duck, but if they back up, that's a form of interference. All right. Interference by an offensive player. Many different cases. I gave you one where the offensive player running over the first baseman. Other examples could be somebody coming out to pick up a bat that might be in the way, somebody not associated with the game, and they get in the way of a play. The on-deck batter getting in the way of a play. Let's say a pop foul to the catcher, and they're going after it, and they stop the catcher from fielding that ball. It's a form of interference. Coach interference can be a coach helping a runner or stopping a runner, rounding third base, to reach out and grab him, drag him back to first base. You can have spectator interference. That happens rarely. When you talk about spectator interference, understand that the spectator does not have anything on the field of play. They can't reach over a fence and stop a defensive player from making a catch. If that's defensive player reaches over the fence to make a play, that's outside of the field of play. And hey, there's nothing we can do there. Umpire, an example of an umpire being in the way. Very rarely, folks. The only time that I know of that you got umpire interference is you've got somebody attempting a steal, and the catcher comes up to throw the ball, and they hit the umpire and cannot complete that play. Number one, you let the play continue. If that person was stealing second base and they're thrown out, you didn't interfere bad enough, they're out. All right. But if they're safe at second base, kill it and put the person back at first base. Let me back up just a second. I wanted to give you some examples, but remember this on interference. Anytime we have interference, the difference between interference and obstruction is if we have interference, we've got a dead ball. That's first, dead ball. Umpires, you got a chance to think about what you're going to do. I've got a dead ball. Somebody's going to be out, and all other base runners are going to return. All right. The exception to that is the umpire interference that I just spoke of. We're not going to call somebody out. We're going to put the people back. But any other time we've got interference, for the most part, very few exceptions, we've got somebody out. We got number one, we got a dead ball. Somebody's going to be called out, and we're going to return base runners to their last touch base at the time of the interference. Okay. Different from obstruction, where we've got some latitude as far as placing runners, etc. All right. The best examples that you can get on interference are in the rule supplement. That's the best wording and everything that we have for interference. Okay. Let's talk about the different types of interference that we can have. Most of the time, the ones that get the most press, or because it's a run scoring or something, that's why we try to cover obstruction and interference both at the same time, because we can talk about those plays that cause the most controversy. Understand this: when you have interference, I'd say 85% of the time you're going to catch some crap from somebody. Okay. When in doubt, just think about what's fair. Did that person get in the way? Did they hinder or impede? I know in my definition that's still up there before you, it talks about verbal distraction. I am not high on verbal distraction. To me, if that runner going from second to third stops and makes like they're going to eat the shortstop with a distraction, yeah, I've got something. Other than that, just because the third base coach yells boot about the time that the shortstop's about to field a ball, that to me is not a verbal distraction. They should be able to take care of that. All right. I wouldn't crawl into that bag of worms there. When it says it may be in the form of physical contact, the place we see it is that runner from third that's going to run over the catcher. All right. That's something we want to get out of the game. If that person's got the ball and they're waiting for that person and they decide to run them over, I probably have interference followed by ejection. Visual distraction can be, like I said, that runner going from second to third, stopping in front of that shortstop to visually distract them. You have to ask yourself, did they hinder that fielder from making a play? If they did, you got interference. It's not going to be easy. These are the ones you get paid the big bucks for, making the decision on whether that was or wasn't interference. Okay. Just keep this in mind. If you think they did it to keep that person from executing a play, call it interference. It'll stop it from happening. Let's talk about the different types. We've had example of the runner interference, the runner from first running over the first baseman trying to field a ball. One of the toughest interferences that we have generally happens around second base. We have multiple base runners. We have a runner on first base, and we've got a runner going into second base who's been put out. Second baseman's covered the bag. They stepped on the bag. We've got a runner coming into second base, and they interfere with that person's throw to first base. Number one, there has to be a possible play. If it happens 3 seconds after the batter across first base, we didn't have a play. We've got contact, and you can kill it for that. Just kill the play. But if you've got somebody who continues on and takes out the second baseman with slide, their spikes in the midsection, a barrel roll, running over the person, or even not going down. But the obvious one is raise their hands and get in the way. That's pretty obvious. I think we're all going to see that. You have to decide, did that person interfere with that play? Now, if the answer to that is yes, you can have a double play. And that is determined by whether the person commits the interference or they were put out or after they were put out. The example I just gave you with a runner on first base, they interfere after they've been put out. Second baseman stepped on the bag. They want to throw to first base, and they run them over. All right. If in your mind that was an attempt to break up a double play, got a dead ball, somebody's out. Well, shoot, we've already got the person out for the play at second base. Now, if they interfere, we're going to have another out someplace. And in this particular case, because they were put out first, it's the runner closest to home. So the best example I can give you is, let's start that play with runners in first and third. We have the runner from first on that ground ball interferes with the play at second base. We've got a dead ball immediately. All right. Now we got time to think. Hopefully it's a multi-umpire system and you can both work together. Somebody's out. Well, the person was already out at second base. Somebody else is going to be out. And we want to get the toughest penalty we can, start at home plate and work your way back. We had a runner at third base. They hadn't crossed the plate by the time that interference happened. So that's the person I'm going to get out for my second out. All right. Let's take that same play, and we got a runner at first, runner at third, and on a ground ball to the first baseman, the runner at first base decides to run over the first baseman thinking, I'm going to stop a double play. Well, if they had time to, in your mind, to get both people, call a dead ball, that person is out for interference. And because you think it could have stopped a double play, we're going to get the immediate succeeding runner. Think about that. Who's the immediate succeeding runner on that play? It's the batter. All right. So when that play is over, I'm going to have the runner at first base is out. The batter is out. But since I killed the ball, the runner at third base, since they hadn't crossed the plate, they're going back to third. Now, I got you confused. Let me go back to the other play. Runners in first and third, ground ball. Ball tossed to the second baseman. The runner from first is already out. Now they run over the second baseman, or they take away any opportunity to make a play. I got a dead ball. Somebody's out. The runner from first to second is out. Now I'm going to get somebody else because they could have had a double play. Because that was obviously intentional, I'm getting the person closest to home. So when that play is over, I'm going to have a runner at first base and 2 outs. The other play where the runner at first runs over the person before they can make a play, they're not out. They run over the first baseman who could have made the play. I'm going to have a dead ball. That person, the runner at first base, is out for the interference, and the succeeding runner, which is the batter, is also out, and the runner goes back to third base. Okay? So in the first one, where the runner's already been put out, that's going to be a double play, but we're going to have a batter at first base. In the second one, where the person was not put out first, we're going to have a double play with the runner at first being out and the batter being put out, but we put a runner at third base. Okay? And the way that you remember that person's already been put out, we get the harshest penalty we can get, which is the runner closest to home. Okay? You can have a situation where you can get more than just the one out. I just gave you one. You could have a situation where a runner at third base interferes on a pop foul that's easily caught ball and interferes. In that situation, I'm going to get the batter out. I'm going to get the runner out if they interfere on that play, get them out, and I'm going to have the batter out because the person either caught the ball or could have easily caught the ball. And I'm going to get two. That's pretty rare. All right. And I'm guessing at this point, so we can get people out in time, people have got questions about types of interferences that they can have. And at this point, Matt, if somebody wants to unmute and ask a question for the benefit of the others, let's go ahead and open that up.
Okay, and just so you know, we've got a little over 6 minutes left on this meeting time.
Okay.
This
Well,
40
we'll
minutes.
ask until that's over, and Laura, you can give credit to whatever you have to do. Again, I apologize for not being prepared, but I thought I was 2 weeks out. Otherwise, I'd had the plays all set up. I will say this, the plays that I was going to use, every single one of them were sent out to you under plays of the month. You get that email from Laura, you click on the plays of the month, and on there, they have plays that all you have to do is click on it. It'll go to a YouTube video. And they have them. And those were the ones I was going to have. And I can send them out in an email to Laura, and maybe you can send them out to the entire group. How's that, Laura?
That's
I can
fine.
send those to.
Before we sign off,
Okay.
Jamie, I need you to contact me of what date you want your training session, because the 10th is a test meeting.
Okay, at this point, since we're down to 5 minutes, let's open it up and see if people have got questions. Because
Hey, Gary,
yes,
I've got one.
Yep.
If on that same play you're talking about, if that runner from third was a fast runner and touched home before the obstruction happened at second, then you still score the run and you get your double play that way, correct?
okay, I think you're talking interference, but the answer to your question is yes.
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 Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I have never had that happen. Could it happen? With stealing, that could happen. Let's
Yeah.
say that runner from third was stealing on a play, and the interference happened after the person crossed the plate,
Right.
and that person's already scored. You know,
Yep.
They scored before the ball became dead. Can it happen? Yes. Pretty rare.
Yep.
Work with your partner. Hopefully it's a 2-umpire system on that, because if somebody calls interference someplace, that plate umpire has got the whole field in front of them. They should be able to help. Another thing, on that play at second base, where now the second baseman has now thrown the ball, the first base umpire has to turn toward first to see that. They may not see contact. They may not see that interference. Plate umpire, you can make that call. You not only can, should make that call. All right. Now, the nuts and bolts of this, and people can disagree with this if you want. In my game, I make the second baseman throw the ball unless that fielder, that offensive player, took away their opportunity by tackling them, jumping up in front of them, running over them, whatever. But if they chose not to throw to first base, well, they're in the baseline. They're 30 feet from second base. That's their choice. I make them throw the ball. If you say you throw it in the parking lot because you would have hit them, there's nothing I can do about that, in my opinion. Okay, tough call. Gary, you're making people hit him. No, throw the ball to first base. Believe me, enough people getting hit, they'll get out of the way.
And we're at 3 minutes. Pete Zamora has a question. How many times can you fake tag in a game? I mean, he says by the same person. So I'm assuming you got one guy who just keeps constantly fake tagging in a game.
Hey, in that particular case, if you do your job as an umpire, you put the left arm out and you call obstruction. All right. Even if the guy, runs it, let's say they're minimally affected by it. I want you to call obstruction. I want you to show Pete that your left arm is out there and that you saw it. Otherwise, he's got to guess if you saw it or not. And I want that followed with, hey, shortstop, that's obstruction. Don't do it. Now you've entered into a whole other realm. Now you've told a player that they cannot do it. All right. If you want to follow that with, hey, that's a fake tag, somebody can get hurt. And if that happens, if you do it again, I'll remove you from the ball game. Now that just became a rule. They've got their warning. If they do it again, remove them. Two different things coming up there.
Less than 2 minutes, so probably got time for one more.
Laura, this is Jamie. I will take the third.
Most people take the
Are you
fifth.
sure we can make it the 4th?
I originally had a basketball game on the third. That's why I switched with Gary on the 10th. My
Okay.
basketball game on the third has been canceled. I
Cool.
can go back to the original schedule and take the third.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'll send plays to Laura. She can send them out individually to the entire group of people. Just know that you can find those on the website, and they have them for years before. You can go back to plays of the month, and they're at the bottom. You can find them, folks. They're easy.
Thank you, Gary, so much.
Sorry about the.
Thank you, Gary.
Have
Thanks,
a good
Gary.
one.
So Laura, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll just purchase a month, subscription for this so I can get unlimited hours.
Send me the invoice.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Thanks, Matt.
Won't have the problem again.
Thanks, Ross. Keeping me straight here. Appreciate it.
Guys, welcome and glad you could all listen.
Hey,
Learning
Matt.
a little bit every day.
Yes,
Matt,
Tess. Yes,
did you
Tess.
find out from Brian where, if we can put these recorded meetings up on USA Softball Michigan?
Nope,
Okay.
we can't do it there, but they're working on a YouTube hookup for us.
All right, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Night all.
Night
Hey,
all.
Hey, Tess.
Yeah,
Tess,
yeah.
what we're looking at doing is when these types of things are created and recorded, like Laura said, we would create just like a library that a person could